You've been trying to explain yourself to people who were never designed to understand you, and lately, it's been draining you, hasn't it? That ache in your chest every time your truth hits a wall of blank stares, that moment when your light meets someone's blindness and you start questioning if maybe you're the problem. But listen carefully, chosen one, you are not misunderstood, you are mismeasured. If you ever saw how truly set apart you are, you'd stop mid-sentence, smile gently, and walk away like the closing scene of a legendary film. That's not arrogance, that's awareness. Because the truth is, they're not confused by you, they're convicted by you. Your depth exposes their shallowness, your peace reveals their chaos, and your clarity shakes the foundations of the illusions they built to survive. Most people's minds are held together with fragile tape and borrowed confidence, and then you walk in, radiant, grounded, unshakable. Your presence alone feels like an earthquake they didn't sign up for. It's not that they can't hear you, it's that your truth stretches places they've never exercised. And when that happens, the human ego does what it's always done. It rejects what threatens its comfort. That's why your authenticity triggers projection. That's why your insight gets labeled too much. That's why your love feels intimidating instead of safe. They don't reject you because you're wrong. They reject you because you remind them of everything they've refused to grow into. But here's the irony. Weeks from now, you'll see them post your exact words online, watered down, repackaged, as if they discovered fire. And you'll just smile. Because when you're chosen, you learn that imitation is confirmation. You were never meant to debate your light. You were meant to embody it. So, this is your reminder, beloved. Stop bleeding pearls for closed ears. Stop giving your sacred language to people committed to misunderstanding you. You are not here to convince. You are here to convict. You are not here to fit in. You are here to raise the frequency of the room just by standing in it. If this message already hits home, if you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling spiritually bruised but inwardly awake, type 777 inches, the comments. It's your signal to heaven that you're reclaiming your peace and no longer translating your soul for small minds. And to all of you who've been quietly supporting this mission through your prayers, your words, your super thanks, know that you are helping bring light to those still bleeding for validation. Your generosity isn't just support, it's alignment. Stay with me until the end of this message, because before we close, I'll share a truth that will finally set you free from the need to explain, to prove, to shrink. You'll see that your silence was never weakness, it was wisdom. So, chosen one, let me ask you this. When will you stop explaining your frequency to those still tuned to static? God's chosen ones, stop bleeding pearls for closed ears. Number 1. If you saw how rare your perspective truly is, you would stop explaining yourself to people who argue from limitation. You would no longer hand over the sacred pearls of your revelation to ears that were never meant to understand their frequency. There are moments when God hides His wisdom inside you, not to make you lonely, but to teach you discernment. Matthew 7-6 says, "Do not give what is holy to dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." Those words are not about arrogance. They are about stewardship, the spiritual responsibility of protecting revelation until it reaches soil that can hold it. You, the chosen one, see differently because you paid for that sight. The vision you carry was not gifted in comfort, but forged through fire, through nights of misunderstanding, through seasons where you were the only one who saw light in the dark. That clarity is not just knowledge, it is an anointing. And with every new layer of awareness, you step further away from the crowd. Not because you're better, but because truth rarely travels in packs. Most people don't reject your ideas because they're too complex. They reject them because your ideas threaten the small structures that protect their sense of certainty. When someone has built their identity on the walls of limitation, expansion feels like danger. Your freedom becomes offensive to their fear. They are not debating you because they seek truth. They are defending the cages they've mistaken for safety. It's not that they can't understand you, it's that understanding you would require them to rebuild themselves. And rebuilding is painful. John 3:20 says, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed." Exposure isn't only about sin, it's about fragility. People cling to ignorance because awareness asks for accountability. So you try to explain. You simplify, you soften, you offer your insight in the most digestible form, and still they twist it, reject it, or reduce it. Why? Because expansion costs effort and protecting limitation feels easier. The problem isn't your delivery, it's their bandwidth. You are pouring ocean-sized revelation into cup-sized capacity, and when it overflows, they call it confusion. You are not confusing, you are simply speaking from altitude. But have you ever wondered, what if your purpose was never to convince, but to awaken? Some ears are not closed, they are simply not ready for the frequency you speak. God often hides timing inside truth. He plants revelation in you, like a seed meant for the right season. If you release it too early, it dies in shallow soil. That's why discernment matters more than articulation. You must learn when to speak and when to guard silence, because silence can be sacred too. Your clarity did not come from imitation or survival. It came from confrontation, from the moments you questioned everything you were taught, when you stood in the ruins of old belief and chose to build again, this time on revelation instead of repetition. Romans 12:2 reminds you, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." The mind that has been renewed will never fit comfortably inside systems that refuse to evolve. Some people inherited their beliefs like hand-me-down clothing, worn, outdated, and never tested for truth. They speak from repetition, not revelation. You speak from experience, and that alone separates you. Awareness has weight. It changes the air around you. You have become the kind of person whose mere presence challenges patterns. That's why you feel resistance. It's not personal, it's atmospheric. Darkness reacts when light enters the room. And yet, that resistance teaches you where not to waste your energy. You begin to recognize which conversations are worth your peace, which rooms still honor depth, and which ones only echo noise. You learn that not everyone who listens is capable of hearing. Proverbs 9:8 says, "Do not rebuke mockers or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise and they will love you." Wisdom doesn't fight to be accepted, it waits to be recognized. One day, you will realize that your silence speaks louder than your explanations ever did. You will stop bleeding pearls for closed ears and start building sanctuaries for open hearts. You will begin to understand that your words are not meant for everyone. They are meant for those who have prayed for what you carry. The right people don't drain your insight, they multiply it. They don't debate your revelation, they confirm it. But in this quiet awakening, another question stirs in you. What is the cost of constantly explaining what was meant to be experienced? Because revelation cannot be reduced to debate. It must be lived, embodied, proven through presence. And you are learning to become that proof. Still, the human heart longs to be seen. Why does it ache so much to be misunderstood? Because being misunderstood touches something ancient, the loneliness of carrying divine insight in human form. Even Jesus, carrying eternal truth, was called mad by his own people. Mark 6:4 says, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home." You are in good company when you feel unseen. It is not rejection, it is refinement. I've learned through years of walking this same road that peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from understanding yourself. The moment you stop needing validation from those not assigned to your path, you reclaim spiritual oxygen. You stop over-explaining your value to people committed to misunderstanding it. You begin to protect your wisdom as the temple it is. And maybe that's the hidden lesson all along. Not everyone can meet you where revelation found you. Some people are still learning to see while you've been called to shine. Some are still building walls while you've been tasked to open gates. The architecture of heaven is expansive. It cannot be built with the blueprints of fear. So the next time you feel the urge to explain your light to those who only know shadow, pause, smile, bless them silently, and keep walking. You were never meant to prove yourself. You were meant to move. Your silence will speak, your presence will teach, and your peace will preach louder than any argument ever could. Because those who are truly meant to hear you won't need convincing. They will recognize the sound of home in your voice. Number 2, the silent ones are listening. If you saw how many people study you quietly, you'd stop trying to clarify yourself to the loud ones. The truth is, the loudest people in your life are rarely the ones who truly understand you. They speak first, react fastest, and often listen least. Their volume doesn't come from confidence. It comes from discomfort. You carry a depth that unsettles shallow waters. Your very presence exposes what's unhealed in them, and they mistake that mirror for a threat. But here's what you often forget, chosen one. While noise surrounds you, silence is watching. There are people unseen, unannounced, who study you not to judge but to learn. They don't clap, they don't comment, they don't rush to give opinions. They simply observe. They take in your words, your patience, the way you breathe before reacting. They see your restraint and wonder where it comes from. They see your calm in chaos and feel their own storms begin to still. Matthew 5:16 says, "Let your light so shine before others that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Sometimes shining means speaking, other times it means simply being. There's a quiet audience assigned to your life, souls who draw strength from your unseen consistency. While the loud ones analyze your every move to find fault, the silent ones imitate your integrity to find direction. They may never say it aloud, but your courage gave them permission to start again. Your healing gave them hope that theirs was possible. Your survival became their study material. And yet, you focus on the loud ones, those who misunderstand, interrupt, or minimize. You spend energy explaining your heart to people who only listen to respond. Why do you still crave understanding from voices that have never offered it? Could it be that part of you still longs to be seen by those who never will? But what if visibility was never the reward, only impact? Some of your greatest influence will happen in silence, in rooms you'll never enter, in hearts you'll never meet. You are teaching without realizing it. There's someone right now rethinking how they speak to their child because of something you said last year. There's someone handling their pain differently because they watched how you carried yours. The classroom is bigger than you think, and your life is the lesson plan. In the kingdom's mathematics, the quiet ones matter most. Luke 14:11 says, "For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." Heaven honors the unseen. The fruit of your obedience ripples far beyond your view. You don't always get to witness the harvest. Sometimes you are simply called to sow in silence. And here lies the paradox. The people who talk the most about you often learn the least from you, while the ones who never mention your name are the ones quietly transforming because of you. The universe, like God's design, operates on resonance frequencies that carry truth beyond words. In physics, resonance means one vibration sets another into motion without physical contact. Spiritually, it's the same. Your authenticity vibrates through the atmosphere. Without you even realizing it, hearts aligned with truth begin to move in rhythm with yours. 1 Peter 3-4 calls it the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself to the loud ones, remember, you are not here to win arguments. You are here to awaken resonance. Silence has its own language, and the wise have learned to hear it. You are not ignored, you are being observed by those who learn through your being, not your talking. But then comes the ache, the quiet, human part of you that still wonders, why do I feel invisible when I'm being impactful? It's because your ego measures presence by response, but your spirit measures it by fruit. Impact doesn't always echo back as applause. Sometimes it returns as transformation you'll never see. I've learned through years of watching souls awaken that purpose rarely comes with public validation. It comes with invisible evidence, shifts in hearts, softened pride, rekindled faith. Your life may never trend, but it will heal timelines. Galatians 6-9 whispers, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." The harvest isn't just success, it's legacy. You are walking proof that quiet strength carries divine weight. You've endured criticism without retaliation. You've faced misunderstanding without resentment. You've chosen alignment over attention. And that is the rarest kind of power. The loud ones might fill space for a moment, but the quiet ones you inspire will shift atmospheres for a lifetime. Every time you choose integrity over impulse, someone learns how to lead differently. Every time you forgive what could have hardened you, someone sees that healing is possible. Every time you choose stillness over spectacle, someone realizes that peace is not weakness. You are teaching even when you don't speak. Proverbs 17:27 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered." That is you, a living sermon wrapped in human form. So, what now? You stop performing for the loud. You begin living for the lesson. You start to measure your worth not by volume, but by vibration, the unseen reverberation of your authenticity. You let your silence preach. You let your peace defend you. You understand that God has assigned you both listeners and learners, and not all of them make noise. And maybe that's the secret to peace, realizing that heaven keeps better records than humans. Every unseen act of grace, every private prayer, every word you chose not to speak is documented in eternity's archives. Nothing is wasted. You are influencing more lives than you can count, and most of them will never tell you. So, breathe, chosen one. Step back from the noise. You were never meant to explain yourself to those who have already decided what you mean. Speak for clarity, not for approval. Live for purpose, not validation. And remember, even when the crowd is silent, heaven is clapping. Because the loud ones may echo for a moment, but the quiet ones, the ones you never meet, will carry your light for generations. Number 3, the weight of your presence. If you saw the spiritual weight your presence carries, you would finally understand why some people pretend not to understand you. It's not ignorance, it's avoidance. There are those who grasp exactly who you are but will never admit it, because acknowledging your depth would demand they confront their own stagnation. You are not too complex, you are too revealing. Your presence mirrors truth, and truth requires transformation, something not everyone is willing to pay for. When you walk into a room, something shifts. You don't have to speak much, your stillness speaks for you. You carry a grounded energy, a quiet command that doesn't need validation. It's the kind of presence that makes noise nervous, ego uncertain, and performance irrelevant. People who thrive on pretense feel naked around you because you don't buy into illusion. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And the same is true of you. The chosen one, you see hearts, not facades. That's why so many flinch in your presence. Your awareness acts like light in a room full of dust. It reveals what's floating there. Some people hide behind confusion because pretending not to understand you protects their pride. To acknowledge your clarity would mean they must respect you, and for some, that's too heavy a truth to carry. It's easier to call your discernment arrogance than to admit that it's discernment at all. They twist your wisdom into complication, your confidence into self-importance, and your insight into ego. But what they call pride is often peace, the kind that comes from surviving storms they've never faced. Your words carry authority because they are not theory, they are testimony. Every time you speak, your energy carries the residue of past battles, healed wounds, and silent victories. You've walked through fire and learned to glow instead of burn. You've stood in silence and learned that not every truth needs defending. That kind of authenticity can't be faked, it's earned. James 3:13 asks, "Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom." Your humility is your proof, not your explanations. But here's what they don't tell you. Your presence also dismantles illusions. Those who depend on manipulation, gossip, or control cannot stand in the same frequency as someone who sees clearly. You don't have to expose them. Your mere presence disarms them. Like sunlight revealing the cracks in old glass, your spirit illuminates what others hide behind polished words. And when illusion is threatened, confusion becomes a shield. Their "I don't get you" is not confusion, it's deflection. Have you noticed how people sometimes act distant after you speak truth? What if their withdrawal isn't rejection, but conviction? Some hearts don't need more explanation, they need time to realign. Your energy has a way of rearranging the invisible, stirring dormant consciences, awakening forgotten callings. You walk like a catalyst. It's not always pleasant for those who meet you. Your light presses against their shadows. And yet, it's not your job to dim that light. You were never meant to make others comfortable in their avoidance. John 1-5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The discomfort you cause is not destruction, it's divine disruption. Heaven uses your presence as an invitation for others to rise, even if they call it intimidation. Your energy carries what I call spiritual gravity. Like planets that draw smaller objects into orbit, you attract both admiration and projection. Those not ready to evolve will resist your pull. Those meant to grow will begin to revolve around your frequency, learning from your steadiness. Every soul reacts differently to gravity. Some rise, some run, some break apart. 2 Corinthians 2:15-16 calls it the fragrance of life and death. For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ. To some, an aroma that brings life. To others, an aroma that brings death. You carry that aroma. To the hungry, your presence feels like revelation. To the proud, it feels like judgment. But remember this, their reaction is not your responsibility. Why do you still feel tempted to explain your peace to those addicted to chaos? The moment you begin justifying your calm, you lower your frequency to meet confusion. And confusion never understands clarity, it only distorts it. Instead, guard your peace as a sacred technology. Think of your spirit as a cathedral. Every word you speak reverberates like a note in a great chamber. Not everyone can enter holy ground without trembling. Some people's spirits shake because they sense God's fingerprints on your aura. They feel your stillness as confrontation. They sense in you the echo of authority they've silenced within themselves. There's an old saying that the truth doesn't need to shout. It simply stands and lets time agree with it. That's the rhythm you now live by. Your very existence preaches. You've become the sermon, not the loud kind, but the living kind. And living sermons unsettle complacency. Isaiah 60:1 calls to you, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." When the glory rises, you don't need validation. The light will do the talking. The weight you carry is not burden, it's evidence of what you've overcome. You are not intimidating, you are illuminating. And those who pretend not to see you are simply not ready to look that close to the truth. But in quieter moments, another question surfaces in your heart. How do I keep loving when I know I am feared? The answer is grace. You love not because they deserve it, but because love keeps you aligned. Grace is the only antidote to misunderstanding. The moment you let bitterness enter, the light begins to flicker. Stay pure in motive, steady in peace. You are not here to prove who you are. You are here to embody it. Those who are meant to meet you in truth will find you when their eyes adjust to the light. Until then, keep walking with your quiet authority. Keep speaking with that grounded calm. Keep carrying your frequency like a lamp in fog, constant, unbothered, true. Because the ones who pretend not to understand you today will one day quote you without realizing it. And when that day comes, you won't need credit, only confirmation that you stayed faithful to who you are. So, breathe, chosen one. Don't chase recognition, carry revelation. Don't explain your peace, protect it. Don't lower your light, anchor it. The world may act confused, but heaven has always been clear about you. Number 4, the prophecy hidden in your life story. If you saw the prophecy embedded in your life story, you would understand that explanations cheapen your path. Not everyone is meant to grasp the sacred pattern of your becoming. Most people see their life as a straight line, point A to point B, moments scattered by chance, strung together by coincidence. But your story never unfolded like that. Yours was written with a deeper logic, a divine rhythm that most eyes cannot see. Nothing you've survived has been random. Every heartbreak, every detour, every silence carried design. What looked like chaos was choreography. Beneath your timeline runs an invisible symmetry, like sacred geometry traced by unseen hands. Psalm 139:16 says, "All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." You were not merely living, you were being revealed. Each chapter of your life echoed a larger truth, a hidden melody of destiny humming beneath the noise of circumstance. The things that broke you weren't failures, they were alignments. The people who left weren't losses, they were releases. The delays weren't punishments, they were protection. And none of these are comforting slogans, they are spiritual architecture. You are not a series of disconnected events. You are the cathedral God has been building stone by stone. Every scar is a pillar. Every miracle is a stained glass window refracting His light through your pain. Have you noticed the patterns that repeat in your life? The themes, the cycles, the lessons that return until they become revelation? What if those repetitions aren't curses, but coordinates? Markers guiding you toward your higher design? The same mountain you thought you were circling might have been training you to climb differently each time. Heaven never wastes motion. And if someone doesn't carry the same spiritual sensitivity, no amount of explaining will ever make sense to them. People who live only by logic will always call your journey dramatic, exaggerated, or too deep because they can only see the surface. They mistake divine symbolism for coincidence. They cannot recognize destiny when it's still under construction. 1 Corinthians 2:14 says, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness, and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit." Some souls are born to live ordinary stories. Others, like you, are chosen to live parables. You walk through experiences that are meant to awaken others. You endure spiritual pruning and rebuilding not because you are cursed, but because your life will one day become evidence that transformation is possible. You are a living prophecy, your pain preaching sermons you haven't even spoken yet. And that's why explanations rarely satisfy. Trying to articulate your path to someone who has never experienced inner rebirth is like describing color to the blind. They minimize what they can't measure. When you share spiritual insight with those who only trust what they can see, they doubt you, not because you lack clarity, but because you live from dimensions they have not yet visited. Why do you keep offering divine language to people fluent only in survival? Even those who do understand you often pretend not to. Admitting your depth would require them to examine their own complacency. It's easier to dismiss you than to be changed by you. Some will label you dramatic, intense, or too spiritual, not because you are wrong, but because your life exposes how numb they've become. Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." When you carry divine patterns within you, you will always seem unpredictable to those who live by the visible. Your steps follow a rhythm set by eternity, not approval. But it's not arrogance to walk differently, it's obedience. You are following coordinates they cannot read. Your calling operates like a constellation, individual stars of experiences forming meaning only when viewed from a distance. When others look, they see scattered dots. When heaven looks, it sees a map. And when your soul looks back one day, you will too. There is a kind of beauty in not being understood. It keeps the sacred unpolluted. The mystery protects what explanation would dilute. Have you ever noticed how some miracles lose power when overanalyzed? Revelation breathes best in reverence, not debate. Explaining your life to those who only listen through intellect is like pouring oil into water. The frequencies never mix. You are not here to convince, you are here to embody. I've learned through the architecture of my own becoming that God often hides his most detailed designs inside detours. The wilderness was never meant to waste your time, it was meant to build your inner temple. That's why certain battles repeat, not to punish you, but to deepen your foundation. Depth cannot be rushed. Your story isn't just personal, it's prophetic. The trials you face are not random storms, but rehearsals for authority. You cannot guide others through darkness unless you've learned the language of night. Romans 8:28 whispers, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. All things, even the shattered ones, are ingredients of destiny." So the next time someone asks you to explain why you are the way you are, pause, smile gently. They are not your audience, they are your evidence. You were not sent to be understood, you were sent to be witnessed. Your life itself is the message, and when the right eyes read it, they'll see scripture in motion. Ask yourself one last thing. What if your entire story is heaven's letter to the world, and the ink was your endurance? The prophecy woven through your journey was never meant for everyone's comprehension. It was meant for the few who can recognize sacred architecture when they see it. So, protect your mystery, honor your unfolding. Every delay, every redirection, every ending, they are not detours from destiny but doorways to it. And one day, when you stand at the end of this long road, you'll see it clearly, the blueprint of grace that shaped it all. What once felt random will look like art. What once felt painful will look like purpose. You will understand that every page of your story was a verse, and every verse was a prophecy. Until then, walk quietly with confidence. Let your silence teach. Let your scars glow. Let your presence translate what words cannot. Because your life in all its mystery is not a riddle to be solved. It is a scripture being written in real time, one heartbeat at a time. Number 5. The echoes of your originality. If you saw how many people quietly copy you behind closed doors, your need to explain would evaporate. The paradox of being set apart is that imitation is often the first language of recognition. The ones who act unimpressed in public are often the ones studying you the most in private. They don't clap when you speak, but they echo when you leave. They scroll through your work in silence, dissecting your choices, your rhythm, your phrasing, building blueprints from what you built by faith. They won't like your posts. They won't say your name. But one day, you'll overhear your own sentences flowing from their mouths, your tone woven into their speech, your insight repackaged as if it were theirs. And strangely, instead of anger, what you'll feel is clarity, the calm understanding that originality always plants seeds in hidden soil. Ecclesiastes 1-9 says, "There is nothing new under the sun." Yet the truth is, God keeps choosing certain souls to remind the world of what's been forgotten. You are one of them. You are a mirror of memory, restoring ideas, patterns, and truths that time tried to bury. When you operate from authenticity, you become a silent curriculum. People who haven't built their own identity lean on those who have. Your originality becomes their reference point. Your courage becomes their example. Your transformation becomes their manual. It's both humbling and hilarious how those who once dismissed you as too much end up borrowing from the very depth they mocked. But imitation, whether humble or hidden, is still proof of impact. Some people study you not because they dislike you, but because they're still trying to locate themselves. Your self-acceptance becomes a map for their lostness. Matthew 5:14 calls you the light of the world. And what does light do? It reveals. It makes others visible. When people stand near your glow, they start to see possibilities inside themselves they couldn't before. Some celebrate that, others compete with it. But either way, they were changed by contact. You begin to see that your influence doesn't need to be announced to be effective. Legacy is not built in the noise of applause. It's built in the silence of imitation. Philippians 4:9 says, "Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice." Notice that Paul never demanded credit. He invited continuation. That's what true spiritual maturity looks like. You become content knowing that what started in you will outlive you. But before that peace comes, there's always a season of irritation when you see your originality echoed by people who never acknowledged it. It stings. You wonder, how can they copy me so freely after pretending not to understand me? Yet the answer is simple. Truth cannot be hidden, even from those who resist it. What if their imitation is proof that your energy reached them before their ego could stop it? This realization softens you. You stop chasing validation because influence doesn't need permission. You stop explaining because those who copy already understood you maybe better than they wanted to admit. They saw your essence and thought, if I can't match it, I'll mimic it. But imitation without evolution is short-lived. They can borrow your words, but not your wounds. They can replicate your rhythm, but not your revelation. Authenticity has a frequency that can't be faked. It's like resonance in physics, when one pure tone causes another object to vibrate at the same pitch. But here's the key. The second object can only vibrate if it's structurally sound. Many admire your sound, but few can withstand its vibration. Isaiah 40:31 whispers, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." And the truth is, eagles fly too high for shadows to keep up. So, when imitation happens, don't shrink, smile. Every echo is evidence that your frequency is reaching beyond your circle. Your voice has traveled farther than your name. Your presence has shaped atmospheres where you'll never be mentioned. What if that's how heaven measures impact, not by who credits you, but by who changes because of you? I've learned this in my own becoming. When you are truly aligned with purpose, you stop worrying about ownership and start focusing on originality. God doesn't call you to protect your uniqueness. He calls you to multiply it. There's a reason Genesis 1:28 says, "Be fruitful and multiply." Fruit doesn't argue with the tree that inspired it. It simply grows, carries seed, and creates legacy. So let them imitate. Let them borrow your courage, your phrasing, your discipline. The point was never to be the only one shining. It was to make shining contagious. You are not here to compete for originality. You are here to awaken remembrance. Every time someone borrows from your essence, the world gets closer to remembering light. What they copy externally, heaven still traces back to you internally. The energy remains pure at the source. And no one can counterfeit the depth that came from your scars, your prayers, your nights of silence. But still, the human heart sometimes aches. Why does it hurt when what I birthed becomes someone else's spotlight? Because part of you remembers the price. You remember the fire that shaped the insight, the solitude that forged the tone. Yet wisdom whispers, let it go. Trees don't mourn the fallen fruit, they grow more. So when you notice someone quietly adopting your rhythm, bless them. Let your peace be your proof. Luke 6:38 reminds you, give, and it will be given to you. Influence, like generosity, multiplies in return. The more you release, the more heaven entrusts to you. You no longer need to explain yourself. You are already understood, even by those who pretend not to. You no longer need to defend your originality. The evidence is everywhere, wearing your fingerprints. You have become the archetype they study in silence. And there's a strange beauty in that, to be the unnamed teacher in a world of students pretending to be independent. So walk on, chosen one, with calm eyes, steady voice, and an unbothered heart. Let them imitate, let them borrow, let them build upon the foundation you laid. Because the truth is, when God anoints you to start something new, He already knows others will follow. You are not losing your essence, you are multiplying your reach. And in the quiet knowing of that truth, your soul finally exhales. You realize that imitation isn't theft, it's testimony. Every borrowed piece of you is proof that you've left fingerprints on creation. So, keep being light, keep being frequency, keep being the origin that doesn't need credit, because heaven already recorded your contribution. And remember this, you don't explain yourself to echoes. You create symphonies that remind them who composed the sound. Number 6, the mirror of unresolved wounds. If you saw how deeply you trigger people's unresolved wounds, you'd understand why they distort your intentions. Much of what you take personally has nothing to do with you. Their reaction is a memory, not a response. They're not reacting to what you said, they're reacting to what you stirred. When your presence enters a space with honesty, clarity, and stillness, it disrupts the lies people tell themselves to stay comfortable. You walk in carrying truth like light, and suddenly shadows begin to move. People spend years crafting identities designed to protect their pain. They become architects of avoidance, building emotional rooms where they can hide the parts of themselves they've refused to heal. Then someone like you appears, someone who doesn't flinch at truth, someone whose peace feels like confrontation, someone who has done the inner work and it shakes them. John 3:20 says, "Everyone who does evil hates the light and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed." But exposure isn't your goal, it's the natural effect of carrying clarity. Your presence becomes a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. But looking into one requires courage. When people have avoided reflection for years, your energy feels invasive. They project discomfort outward instead of acknowledging it within. They call your honesty harsh. They label your boundaries selfish. They confuse your detachment with arrogance. But none of this is about your intention, it's about their interpretation. Their perception is fractured in the same places they're still bleeding. Have you ever noticed how a wounded person can take a neutral statement and hear accusation? What if it's not what you're saying that hurts them, but what your truth reveals inside them? People who haven't healed interpret everything through distortion. A boundary becomes rejection. A no becomes betrayal. A compliment becomes manipulation. Their reactions are coded messages from their own unresolved stories. You can explain yourself 100 times, but if someone listens through decades of hurt, they'll twist every meaning to fit their pain. This is why Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." The unguarded heart leaks onto everything it hears. A broken lens turns clarity into confusion. The irony is that many who misunderstand you are actually hungry for the truth you carry. Their spirit recognizes what their ego resists. They know deep down that you reflect the very healing they've been avoiding. But acknowledging that would require humility, and humility feels like surrender. So instead of saying, "You're showing me something about myself," they say, "You're judging me." It's not rejection, it's self-preservation disguised as criticism. When you realize this, compassion replaces frustration. You stop trying to fix their perspective. You stop bending your authenticity to fit their fragility. You stop over-explaining to people who aren't listening for truth but for validation of their pain. Why keep talking to someone whose ears are still tuned to their old trauma? The healed version of you no longer needs to prove innocence. Mirrors don't explain what they reflect. They simply exist. It's almost sacred, this moment of detachment, when you finally see their reaction, not as offense, but as evidence. Luke 6:45 says, "A good person brings good things out of the good stored up in their heart, and an evil person brings evil things out of the evil stored up in their heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." When someone misreads your peace as pride, it's revealing what fills their own heart, not what defines yours. Psychologists call it projection. Prophets call it discernment. Spiritually, it's the same phenomenon, the way unhealed energy distorts perception. Your presence doesn't create their discomfort. It amplifies what's already been there. Think of it like resonance in sound physics. When one frequency vibrates, it awakens the same frequency in nearby objects. You're not causing the shaking, you're revealing the matching frequency that already existed within them. But here's the subtle art: learning not to internalize their noise. The moment you begin to absorb their projection, you make it your own wound. Instead, breathe, stay centered. Let their words fall where they belong, at the feet of their unhealed selves. You are not responsible for their misinterpretation. You are responsible for your alignment. Matthew 5-9 says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God." Peacemakers aren't people who avoid conflict. They are those who carry stillness through it. And maybe that's what you're becoming, a spiritual mirror that reflects truth without distortion. When people look into you, they see both their beauty and their brokenness. Some will thank you, others will attack the mirror, but neither response changes the reflection. You were never sent to be liked, you were sent to be light. And light, by its nature, reveals what darkness hides. Still, the heart asks softly, how do I stay compassionate when my presence keeps stirring discomfort? The answer is grace. Grace allows you to understand without absorbing. Grace allows you to shine without defending. Grace allows you to see their pain as projection, not persecution. You become a vessel of understanding instead of judgment. I've learned that spiritual maturity isn't proven by how well you explain yourself. It's measured by how peacefully you can remain misunderstood. When you carry spiritual weight, your clarity will always be too bright for some. It's not your job to dim it. It's your duty to steward it wisely. 2 Timothy 2:24 reminds us, "And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful." You can be kind without compromising. You can love without over-explaining. So, when misunderstanding comes, and it will see it for what it is, evidence that you're a mirror of transformation. Every soul you meet is either ready to face its reflection or desperate to avoid it. You just happen to be the catalyst. And as you walk forward, you'll begin to notice something miraculous. Those who once accused you of being too much will one day return quietly, seeking the peace they once resisted. The mirror they feared will become the mirror they seek, because the truth you carry doesn't just expose, it heals. So, rest, chosen one. You don't have to keep explaining your intention to those committed to misunderstanding it. Let your integrity speak in time. Let your consistency testify louder than defense. Let your presence keep reflecting truth until hearts finally open. Because the healed don't explain light, they become it. Number 7. The gate of divine protection. If you truly saw the level of spiritual protection covering your life, you would stop arguing with people who don't even have access to you. There is a sacred reason why some can speak about you, speculate about you, even try to define you, yet never truly touch the essence of who you are. They can look, but they can't see. They can name, but they can't know. They can reach toward you, but something invisible keeps them just far enough away. That something is not pride. It's not detachment. It's divine perimeter, a shield woven into your assignment. You carry a protection that surpasses logic. It's not merely emotional boundaries or self-awareness. It's a spiritual firewall built by design. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That's what this is, an unseen escort of grace that filters who can come near. There's a pattern you've noticed, haven't you? Certain connections never quite click. Conversations feel shallow. Energies feel off. Intentions unravel before they can disguise themselves. You've tried to force understanding, to explain your heart, to extend trust, and still something intervenes. The friendship fades. The collaboration collapses. The interest dies without warning. You think you're being rejected, but heaven whispers, "No, you're being preserved." Some people were never meant to understand you because understanding you requires revelation, not curiosity. Your essence isn't available for public dissection. It must be discerned, not decoded. People with limited awareness try to interpret you through the lens of their ego, their wounds, their unhealed logic. But your life doesn't operate on those frequencies. You are not living from surface code. You are running on divine software. Imagine trying to open a secure system with the wrong password. It locks itself automatically. That's you. When the wrong spirit approaches, something within you simply closes. The call doesn't go through. The energy drops. The interest fades. That is divine encryption. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." The same law applies not just to attack, but to access. Not all weapons are swords. Some are conversations. Some are fake empathy. Some are curiosity disguised as connection. When someone doesn't have clearance to your spirit, their perception will always malfunction. They fill in the gaps with insecurity. They project their fear onto your silence. They call your privacy mystery and your peace arrogance. But how could they possibly understand your depth when they've never entered their own? Ask yourself, why keep defending yourself to those who were never assigned to discern you? You could explain your motives 100 times, and still they'd misread them, not because you're unclear, but because they're unready. Their frequency simply cannot translate your message. This is not communication failure, it's consciousness mismatch. Once you understand that access is permissioned by heaven, you stop trying to open locked gates. You realize that not all distance is loss. Some distance is protection. Some silence is strategy. Some disconnects are divine redirections in disguise. Proverbs 2:8 says, "For he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones." Faithfulness, not familiarity, determines access. The truth is, you are not hard to reach, you are sacred to reach. You are not complicated, you are consecrated. The energy around your life is curated by God to keep your purpose unpolluted. You are surrounded, not secluded. And there's a difference. The enemy would love to convince you that isolation is rejection. But protection often looks like solitude when you don't yet recognize the architecture of heaven. I've come to realize that divine protection functions like a gate built of light. It doesn't imprison, it filters. It lets love in, but keeps confusion out. It allows alignment, but blocks imitation. Have you noticed how the wrong people lose interest right before they could do harm? That's not coincidence, that's providence. The gate closes itself. Think of your life like a sanctuary. Not everyone can walk past the outer courts into the Holy of Holies. Exodus 33:20 says, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." Even Moses, the chosen one, was shielded by God's hand as his glory passed by. There are parts of you so infused with divine purpose that heaven itself protects them from casual eyes. So when people misunderstand you, gossip about you, or twist your intentions, breathe. You don't have to rush to defend yourself. The gate of your calling stands guard better than your words ever could. Let God's architecture do its work. Your only job is to stay inside the perimeter, grounded, grateful, and guided. But even in this peace, a question might rise. How do I love people without lowering my gate? The answer lies in discernment. Love doesn't require access. You can bless from a distance, forgive without contact, release without resentment. Love is the light that shines through the gate, not the key that opens it. 2 Thessalonians 3:3 promises, "But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." You are strengthened not by explaining yourself, but by trusting the invisible walls that surround your destiny. Some misunderstandings are part of the design. If people could reach you too easily, they'd dilute what God is forming within you. Every misjudgment, every rumor, every assumption, it all falls short because they're trying to analyze a dimension they were never invited into. Let them talk. They're tourists peering through sacred glass, trying to describe what they cannot touch. And while they debate shadows, you keep glowing behind divine glass. There's a peace that comes when you finally stop forcing clarity. You realize you don't owe explanations to anyone who doesn't carry the discernment to understand you. What God guards, you don't need to justify. So walk on, chosen one, calm, grounded, and untouchable in spirit. Keep your gate closed to noise and open to purpose. Let heaven handle your defense. Let misunderstanding be your camouflage. Let distance be your discernment. Because the truth is, your silence is guarded speech. Your solitude is divine shielding. Your peace is proof that heaven still watches over its own. And if you saw the level of protection surrounding you, the angels positioned at every unseen corner, the grace that intercepts unseen dangers, the mercy that reroutes what was meant to harm you, stop explaining and simply rest in the safety of your anointing. You're not hidden, you're covered. Number 8, the revelation of silence. If you truly saw how much your silence exposes people, you would stop filling it with explanations. Your silence does more work than your words ever will. It's not absence, it's evidence. Every time you choose not to defend, justify, or over-explain, the truth starts surfacing on its own. When you stop narrating, the masks begin to fall. People start showing you who they are when your voice is no longer there to guide how they're seen. You've noticed it, haven't you? The moment you stop explaining yourself, some grow distant, others grow defensive, and a few simply disappear. That's not coincidence, that's revelation. Proverbs 17:27 says, "The one who has knowledge uses words with restraint, and whoever has understanding is even-tempered." Silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom choosing stillness as its weapon. Your quiet doesn't mean you're indifferent, it means you trust the laws of truth. You've learned that when you speak too much, you become responsible for managing everyone's perception. But when you become silent, perception manages itself, and what people see depends entirely on their own reflection. What if your silence isn't punishment, but purification? Silence is a spiritual mirror. It scans the room and reveals insecurities faster than any argument could. Insecure people cannot handle it because silence forces them to listen to their own echo. It exposes manipulators because they can no longer twist your words. It frustrates the jealous because it deprives them of the information they need to distort. And it comforts the genuine because genuine hearts are not threatened by quiet. There's something divine in silence. Habakkuk 2:20 declares, "The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Even heaven honors stillness as sacred space." God himself spoke the universe into existence and then rested. That pause, that holy hush, was not emptiness, it was completion. Silence is where creation catches its breath. When you withdraw from explanation, you create an atmosphere where truth reveals itself. People project their hearts onto your quiet like light against glass. The insecure fill your silence with suspicion. The fearful fill it with fantasy. The grounded fill it with peace. And the wise, they fill it with prayer. Have you ever noticed how quickly someone's character unfolds when you stop giving them context? You stop rescuing people from the mirror of their own reactions. You stop clarifying your kindness to those determined to misunderstand it. You stop trying to prove intention to those addicted to assumption. In that pause, people begin to tell on themselves. The impatient grow agitated, the entitled grow accusatory, the unhealed grow defensive, and the sincere remain steady, allowing silence to speak its sacred truth. Silence is not passive, it's prophetic. It's heaven's way of sorting the real from the false, the aligned from the attached. Like sediment settling in still water, time clarifies what words once stirred. Psalm 46:10 whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." Notice stillness precedes knowing. Truth doesn't rush, it waits for noise to end. Sometimes your silence irritates people because it removes their hiding place. When you stop talking, they have to listen not to you, but to themselves. And many aren't ready for that sound. They fill the void with their projections because it's easier to accuse you than to confront their own reflection. But you've grown too spiritually mature to rescue them from that confrontation. I've learned this. Every misunderstanding that blooms in your silence is actually a revelation of character. Some people will invent entire stories to justify why you no longer explain, but that's not your story, that's theirs. Matthew 12:36 reminds us, "Everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken." Your silence protects you from joining their noise. And here's the divine irony. Your quietness speaks more loudly than defense ever could. It carries a frequency that reveals truth without volume. In physics, resonance happens when a vibration causes another object to sound. Your silence carries resonance. It triggers truth in the hearts of those willing to hear, and dissonance in the hearts of those resisting it. So when people grow uncomfortable with your peace, understand that their reaction is not proof of your wrongness, but proof of their unrest. You're not cold, you're clear. You're not distant, you're discerning. You're not detached, you're disciplined. Silence becomes your shield, your sermon, your strategy. What if silence is not your absence, but your elevation? When you no longer need to participate in every misunderstanding, you step into mastery. Words can only clarify what's small. Silence clarifies what's sacred. And maybe that's why Jesus himself stayed silent before Pilate. Matthew 27:14 says, "But Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor." Even the Son of God knew that sometimes silence defends more powerfully than speech. You don't explain yourself to those who've already decided who you are. You simply stand in the truth and let heaven interpret your quiet. As you continue to grow, you'll see that silence doesn't separate you, it sanctifies you. It cleans the atmosphere around your life. It filters noise, exposes motives, and preserves your energy for divine work. Silence becomes your discernment, made audible to heaven. Ask yourself now, how much peace have I sacrificed by over-explaining what time would have proven on its own? Once you answer that honestly, you'll begin to understand why stillness is one of the highest forms of authority. Let silence do the sorting. It always does. It never lies, and it never misses. Those meant to stay will find comfort in your quiet. Those not meant to continue will reveal themselves in their noise. So, keep your voice steady, your heart clean, and your presence anchored. You don't need to fill every space with words. Sometimes heaven speaks loudest through your restraint, because your silence is not emptiness. It's evidence proof that you've outgrown the need to explain what truth will eventually expose. Number 9. The blessings beyond detachment. If you truly saw how many blessings are waiting on the other side of detachment, you'd never justify your value to anyone again. Detachment isn't indifference, it's clarity. It's the sacred act of cleaning your atmosphere. It's what happens when your soul refuses to keep negotiating with what no longer vibrates at its assignment. The world calls it distance. Heaven calls it alignment. People mistake detachment for coldness, but for the chosen ones, it's an act of reverence, spiritual hygiene. It's how you protect the frequency of what God is building in you. Every time you explain yourself to someone who lacks the capacity to understand you, you leak energy. Every justification you give to the wrong audience becomes a slow exhale of your anointing. Explaining yourself isn't communication, it's bondage. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." That slavery can look like people-pleasing, it can sound like over-explaining. It can feel like emotional captivity disguised as loyalty. You don't elevate by being understood, you elevate by being aligned. Detachment is not abandonment, it's graduation. It's your spirit saying, "I refuse to sit in rooms where my presence has to be justified." It's the divine moment when the soul finally recognizes that its peace is proof of purpose. You stop auditioning for belonging in spaces that could never contain you. And something miraculous happens. When you detach, the air clears, the frequency lifts, the atmosphere rearranges. The people who once drained you start fading like echoes, and new souls, those carrying the same resonance, begin to appear as if drawn by gravity. It's no accident. Isaiah 43:18-19 reminds you, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Misalignment always feels like confusion, like carrying something that's quietly suffocating your future. It's trying to give CPR to situations God has already pronounced dead. Have you ever noticed how heavy peace feels when you keep forcing it where it no longer lives? What if the exhaustion you've been feeling isn't a lack of strength, but a sign that your spirit is trying to detach? Detachment doesn't kill love, it purifies it. It separates compassion from codependence, faith from fantasy, service from self-sacrifice. It's the sacred pause between one assignment ending and another beginning. It's not about walking away in anger, it's about walking away in wisdom. There are blessings hovering just beyond your reach, waiting for you to let go of the weight blocking their descent. Your next season doesn't require you to fight harder, it requires you to release faster. Some doors open only when both your hands are empty. You cannot hold divine abundance while gripping relationships that were only meant for your development, not your destiny. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." Notice that added, not chased. When alignment returns, blessings flow without strain. They were never gone, they were simply delayed until your heart became light enough to receive them. Blessings cannot thrive in diluted energy, they suffocate under confusion and misplaced loyalty. They wait for clarity because heaven doesn't deposit glory into chaos. The blessings assigned to your life are kingdom-sized, they need room. They require emotional spaciousness, mental clarity, and spiritual altitude. Ask yourself, what if the delay in your blessings isn't divine punishment, but divine protection, waiting for you to travel light enough to climb? When you detach, heaven celebrates, because finally, you're giving God permission to replace what he's been trying to remove. You're no longer delaying your miracles by clinging to what you've already outgrown. Detachment becomes the sacred trade, your need to be understood in exchange for your readiness to be expanded. It's not just about leaving people, it's about leaving the versions of yourself that still need approval. It's about retiring the self that once mistook over-explaining for connection, that thought peace came from making others comfortable. Philippians 3:13-14 says, "Forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize." Pressing forward often feels like loss until you realize you've been carrying unnecessary luggage all along. I've learned that detachment is not an escape, it's elevation. When the airplane ascends, pressure must shift. Some passengers can't breathe at that altitude. The ones meant to stay will rise with you. The rest will find comfort on lower ground. And that's not cruelty, that's physics. Spiritually speaking, altitude reveals compatibility. Have you ever felt the strange quiet that comes after releasing something that was never meant to stay? That quiet is peace returning home. It's not emptiness, it's preparation. The space detachment creates is the same space abundance needs to land. When you stop explaining your worth, you step into environments where your worth speaks fluently without translation. You begin attracting those who not only understand your depth, but mirror it. You find yourself in spaces where your silence is understood, your vision respected, your boundaries honored. And suddenly, you realize, detachment wasn't loss, it was refinement. Everything that left made room for what was meant. Romans 8:28 echoes softly, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." All things, even the leaving, even the letting go. You no longer chase what drains you. You magnetize what aligns with you. Your spirit stops negotiating for crumbs because it finally remembers that it's heir to a kingdom. Detachment is how you return to the throne of your own peace. Ask yourself this: what would my life look like if I stopped defending my value and simply lived from it? That's the level your next blessing requires, not explanation, embodiment. So, breathe, chosen one. Step back without guilt. Release without apology. Trust that every exit you honor creates an entrance heaven can finally use. The blessings aren't lost, they're organized, waiting at your new altitude. And when they arrive, you'll understand. Detachment was never about losing people. It was about finding yourself unbound, unbothered, and blessed beyond measure. Because peace was never the absence of connection, it was the presence of alignment. Number 10, the weight of becoming. If you saw how your destiny threatens stagnant people, you'd stop wasting breath trying to be understood by them. Some people aren't confused by you, they're confronted by you. They aren't misreading your intentions, they're resisting the spiritual reminder you represent. You are living proof that transformation is possible, that excuses are optional, that stillness without reflection is decay. Your very existence unsettles what's unhealed in others. And when someone has built comfort around complacency, your evolution feels like disruption. Human nature attacks what threatens its illusion of safety. People who've built their identity around limitation can't easily celebrate someone who breaks through it. Your growth reminds them that their own stagnation was a choice, not a destiny. John 15:19 says, "If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. But as it is, you do not belong to the world." That's why you feel resistance, not because you're wrong, but because you've outgrown the systems that keep others small. Your elevation exposes complacency. Every step you take forward makes mediocrity uncomfortable. Your progress pulls the mask off fear disguised as humility. And that's why people react. Not because you're arrogant, but because your light reveals the dust on their own reflection. You didn't change. You simply became visible in a place that prefers shadows. Have you ever noticed how the same people who once cheered your potential fall silent when you start fulfilling it? It's not betrayal, it's exposure. When you were dreaming, you were safe. When you began doing, you became dangerous. Because doing proves it's possible. And nothing unsettles the stagnant more than watching someone live the very life they keep postponing. People who never grew can't accept someone who did. You carry a kind of evolution that holds others accountable just by existing. You don't even have to speak. Your life preaches. Your consistency confronts their procrastination. Your endurance exposes their excuses. Your growth puts pressure on their apathy. You become the mirror they never asked for, and instead of analyzing their reflection, they try to shatter the glass. But here's the revelation: their discomfort is not your assignment. Matthew 7:6 cautions, "Do not throw your pearls before swine." That's not judgment, it's discernment. It means not wasting sacred energy trying to explain yourself to those who've chosen to misunderstand. You cannot debate with stagnation. You cannot reason with resistance. You cannot convince comfort to evolve. Your destiny is not a dialogue, it's a direction. Your evolution is the sermon. Your growth is the gospel. You no longer need to defend your transformation. You embody it. Romans 12:2 says, Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation, by nature, isolates before it illuminates. The ones unwilling to renew will always mistake your rebirth for rebellion. When you start walking at the pace of purpose, you'll notice something spiritual. Not everyone has the lungs for altitude. Some people were never meant to breathe where you're going. That's not cruelty, it's divine design. Have you ever felt guilt for outgrowing the very rooms that once felt like home? That guilt isn't guidance, it's residue. Release it. You are not abandoning people, you are obeying purpose. People will call your peace arrogance because they still equate humility with self-neglect. They'll label your distance as pride because they can't fathom discernment. They'll call your silence judgment because your calm confronts their chaos. Don't explain, don't shrink, don't argue. The more you justify your light, the dimmer it becomes. You were never meant to be understood by those who have chosen the comfort of confusion. Growth is confrontation. You are not triggering people by what you say, you're triggering them by what you've become. And the deeper truth is this: they understand you perfectly. That's the problem. They see where you're headed, and they know they cannot follow. You remind them of the versions of themselves that they buried beneath excuses. Your destiny doesn't offend them, their stagnation does. Ask yourself, how many times have you delayed your evolution to stay digestible to those allergic to change? The moment you stop trying to be understood, you free yourself to become fully seen not by the crowd, but by heaven. You realize that being misunderstood is part of the anointing. It's the echo of separation that accompanies divine promotion. Isaiah 60:22 declares, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." Your timing is divine, not democratic. The pace of your becoming was never up for vote. You don't need permission to grow, you only need obedience to continue. The stagnant will always criticize movement. They find comfort in circles and confusion in straight lines. But you were built for ascent. Every stage of your evolution was pre-written as evidence of grace in motion. When you rise, you do not shame them, you invite them. But if they reject that invitation, you keep walking. Because stagnation cannot interpret acceleration. There's a sacred peace in releasing the need to be understood. The further you walk into purpose, the less translation is required. Proverbs 4:18 says, "The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day." You are that sunrise, slow, steady, undeniable. And though some prefer the dark, dawn does not apologize for coming. You are not intimidating. You are illuminated. You are not superior. You are surrendered. You are not loud. You are luminous. And as you continue to grow, you'll find that explanation becomes irrelevant because destiny has its own voice. So, let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. You have no argument to make. Your life will become the evidence. Your growth will become the rebuttal. Your peace will become the final word. And one day, when those who resisted you finally confront their own stagnation, they'll remember your name not with envy, but with awe. Because what once threatened them will become what inspires them. Keep growing, chosen one. Keep becoming. Keep walking. Your destiny speaks a language the stagnant were never meant to translate. And that's okay, because you were never called to convince them. You were called to awaken the ones who still believe change is holy. Number 11, the presence that opens doors. If you saw how many doors open simply because of who you are, not what you explain, you'd protect your energy like treasure. Influence doesn't always arrive wrapped in charisma or volume. Sometimes it walks in quietly, radiating weight, commanding respect without words. That's the kind of power you carry. It's not performance, it's presence. Your life has been forged in silence, your confidence sculpted through trials, your discernment trained in darkness. You don't persuade the world, you shift it. Some people think authority comes from speech, from titles, from proof. But your authority was born in the fire of private battles. It's not the kind of strength that demands to be noticed, it's the kind that makes the atmosphere listen. Isaiah 60:1 says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That glory is not just light. It's recognition from heaven that changes how the world responds to your very existence. Your presence carries something that can't be rehearsed, replicated, or reasoned with. It's an invisible architecture, an energy that realigns rooms before words even begin. You've seen it. Conversations shift tone when you arrive. People straighten their posture, slow their pace, or soften their speech. They can't name it, but they feel it. The atmosphere knows when spiritual authority walks in. Have you ever wondered why certain places suddenly feel lighter, safer, or more awake when you're there? That's because your identity is a key, not the surface identity you show the world, but the one shaped through solitude, storms, and sacred endurance. Every scar became a seal. Every tear turned into a key code that heaven recognizes. Revelation 3:8 whispers, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." Notice, it doesn't say you'll have to knock loudly. Your identity itself is the key. Opportunities are drawn to the frequency of one who's been refined. Favor follows those whose character can hold it. When you've walked through wilderness seasons without losing worship, heaven trusts you with unlocked gates. The doors that open for you now aren't based on reputation, they respond to resonance. Your frequency has been tuned to heaven's wavelength. And yet, here's the warning. Explaining yourself dilutes that power. Over-talking leaks anointing. Each justification you give to the wrong audience drains spiritual voltage. There's a difference between communicating and performing, and the moment you start performing for acceptance, your presence loses its sacred voltage. Matthew 5:37 teaches, "Let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from evil." That's divine simplicity clarity that doesn't waste power through over-explaining. You don't owe the world a translation of your peace. You don't have to justify your pace, your boundaries, or your discernment. When you move differently, it's because you've evolved differently. People who only live by surface logic will call your calm detachment arrogance, but heaven calls it preservation. Your silence is not distance, it's discernment. There's a reason certain doors swing open for you without effort. It's not manipulation or coincidence. It's the result of years spent learning the rhythm of divine timing. Doors recognize the signature of someone who carries peace under pressure. Rooms recognize the walk of someone who's survived fire without bitterness. You don't open doors, your frequency does. What if you've been trying to convince people of what heaven already confirmed? Explaining yourself to the wrong ears is like giving sacred music to an audience that only hears noise. They don't lack ears, they lack attunement. Psalm 37:23 says, "The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord." Ordered steps don't need explanation, they just need obedience. When God orders your walk, He also orders the reception, the way hearts and environments align before you even speak. You were chosen in realms others can't perceive, and their misunderstanding cannot rewrite your design. What you carry is not just wisdom, it's a spiritual signature, a vibration heaven placed inside you before birth. That signature cannot be forged, and those who sense it either align or retreat. Don't mourn the retreat. Some people must withdraw, so your anointing can breathe. Every time you over-explain, you hand out spiritual access cards to people who haven't earned clearance. You give them light they can't handle, and insight they'll mishandle. There are chambers of your soul that should stay sacred. Boundaries don't make you closed off, they make you holy. Have you ever noticed how the people who truly see you never demand an explanation? They recognize what words can't capture. They feel the alignment. They sense the authenticity. They trust your silence. That's because their spirits are tuned to the same frequency, heaven's. In the unseen world, your name is already known. Jeremiah 1-5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. That knowing is divine certification. You were validated long before visibility. The only task now is to protect that signature. Your energy is not a brochure, it's a covenant. When you walk into a space, you're not entering, you're announcing. Every step you take sends a vibration into the atmosphere, a message that light has arrived. It's why rooms calm when you speak peace. It's why storms quiet when you pray. It's why doors unlock when you simply show up aligned. So, the next time you're tempted to explain why you move the way you do, remember this. You don't need to convince anyone that you're called. The evidence follows you. Your presence is your proof. Ask yourself, what miracles have I delayed by over-explaining what was already self-evident? Every moment you waste trying to be understood is a moment you could have spent being present. Silence doesn't mean withdrawal, it means mastery. Stillness doesn't mean passivity, it means power. Protect your energy like treasure, because it is. Guard your peace like prophecy, because it's speaking. And walk, knowing that the atmosphere already recognizes you, even when people pretend they don't. Because heaven does, it always has. And the doors you're walking through next, they've been waiting for your presence, not your pitch. And now, chosen one, as we come to the end of this journey, take a breath. Not the shallow kind you take when you're surviving the deep one, you take when you finally understand. You've walked through revelation after revelation, and perhaps somewhere along the way, something inside you awakened, not something new, but something ancient, something that had been waiting for you to remember. This entire message, from the first whisper to the last word, was never about learning who you could become. It was about remembering who you already are. You were never random, never ordinary, never misplaced. You were a divine design disguised in human form. The storms you survived weren't punishment, they were proof. Proof that purpose runs deeper than pain. Proof that no misunderstanding, no delay, no betrayal can cancel what heaven has spoken over your name. Maybe this is your reminder that you don't need to explain, defend, or prove your worth anymore. You've already been verified by the fire you endured. And every time you rose from what tried to silence you, the heavens recorded it as worship. Psalm 18:16 says, "He reached down from on high and took hold of me. He drew me out of deep waters." That's what this season has been. God drawing you out, not because you were drowning, but because you were destined to walk on the water itself. And now that you know, protect your peace. Speak when heaven speaks, move when heaven moves, and walk knowing that your very presence shifts the air. You don't need to force open the doors meant for you. They're already coded to your name. If this message stirred something in your spirit, if it reminded you of who you are, or helped you breathe a little easier, then share it. Someone you'll never meet may need this very word to find their way home. Leave a comment below. Share what part resonated, what truth met you exactly where you are. Because in this space, we don't just listen. We walk together as a community of the awakened, the ones who refuse to settle for smallness when destiny calls. And if you've been part of this journey for a while, whether you've supported through a super thanks, through your prayers, or simply by showing up in silence, thank you, truly. You are not just an audience. You are part of the movement heaven is building here. Every like, every share, every word of encouragement becomes a ripple that carries this message to someone else's midnight. You matter more than you know. If you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe, not just to a channel, but to a journey of remembering, of rising, of rediscovering the divine rhythm that beats beneath your human heart. Because we are not building followers here, we are building remnants, those who listen to the quiet voice of purpose, even when the world is loud. And now, as you close your eyes tonight, or greet the morning light, may peace find you exactly where you are. May your heart be steady, your mind clear, and your path illuminated by the one who called you before you ever answered. May every closed door reveal itself to have been protection, and every open one lead you closer to divine alignment. May you walk in grace so heavy that confusion cannot follow, May you speak truth so pure that fear cannot stand. May you love so deeply that heaven recognizes itself in your reflection. You are seen, you are covered, you are chosen, and you are still becoming everything heaven imagined when it created you. Until next time, stay in the light, keep your spirit steady, and never forget, your being is the message. God bless you, always.